Had if I told you that a man turned just $800 into $350 million in only 2 weeks, and then claimed he wasn't a genius investor, but a time traveler from the year 2256? The FBI investigated him. They searched for his past. But what they discovered made the mystery even stranger. Could time travel actually be possible? Or was this one of the greatest hoaxes ever created? Today, we'll separate science from fiction and uncover what modern physics really says about traveling through time. Hello, friends. One of the internet's most famous time travel stories began with a man named Andrew Carlssin. According to reports, he invested just $800 in the stock market. Within only 2 weeks, that investment supposedly grew into $350 million. Such an unbelievable profit immediately attracted the attention of investigators. The FBI suspected insider trading or financial fraud. When questioned, Andrew gave an even more unbelievable explanation. He claimed that he was a time traveler. According to him, he had traveled from more than 250 years in the future. Because he already knew how the stock market would behave, making millions of dollars was easy. The story shocked the public. Investigators searched for evidence to prove he was lying. Some reports even claimed that no official records of Andrew Carlssin existed before late 2002. The mystery grew even stranger when he reportedly disappeared before a scheduled court appearance. Many people began asking the same question. Could time travel actually be real? Or was this simply another unbelievable internet story? To answer that question, we first need to understand what science says about time travel. Interestingly, the idea of traveling through time is much older than modern movies. In **1895***, famous author H. G. Wells published the novel **The Time Machine*. The book introduced millions of readers to the concept of a machine capable of traveling into both the future and the past. Although it was a work of fiction, it inspired generations of scientists, physicists, and filmmakers. Over the years, countless movies explored different versions of time travel. Some imagined traveling only into the future. Others showed people instantly jumping between different years. Some stories imagined time slowing down around a person. Others suggested traveling near the speed of light. But which of these ideas is actually supported by science? Surprisingly, some of them are. Modern physics divides time travel into two main possibilities. The first is traveling into the future. The second is traveling into the past. The exciting part is that traveling into the future isn't just science fiction. According to modern physics, it has already been demonstrated on a very small scale. The explanation comes from Albert Einstein's theory of special relativity. Before Einstein, scientists believed that time moved at exactly the same speed everywhere in the universe. Whether you were standing on Earth or traveling through space, time was thought to remain constant. This idea was strongly supported by Isaac Newton. But Einstein completely changed our understanding. He proposed that time is not constant. Instead, time can speed up or slow down depending on two important factors. The first is speed. The second is gravity. This remarkable phenomenon is known as time dilation. And it is one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern physics. Einstein's theory. Can we really travel into the future? Albert Einstein called this phenomenon time dilation. It means that time does not pass at the same rate for everyone. The faster an object moves, the more slowly time passes for it compared to someone standing still. Imagine two identical clocks. One clock stays on Earth. The other is placed inside a high-speed airplane. Both clocks show exactly the same time before the flight begins. The airplane flies around the Earth and then returns. When scientists compare the two clocks, they are no longer identical. The clock that traveled on the airplane is slightly behind, only by a tiny fraction of a second. But that tiny difference changes everything. It proves that time is relative. This wasn't just a theory. It was tested in 1971 during the famous Haffel-Keating experiment. Scientists placed highly accurate atomic clocks aboard commercial airplanes. Other identical clocks remained on the ground. After the flights, the clocks showed measurable differences. The moving clocks had experienced time slightly more slowly. This experiment confirmed Einstein's prediction. So, in a way, time travel into the future already exists. The effect is extremely small in everyday life. But it becomes much larger at incredibly high speeds. Imagine a spacecraft capable of traveling close to the speed of light. The people inside would experience time much more slowly than people on Earth. For the astronauts, only a few years might pass. Meanwhile, decades, or even centuries, could pass on Earth. When they returned home, everyone they once knew would be gone. From Earth's perspective, they would have traveled into the future. This isn't science fiction. It is a direct prediction of Einstein's theory of relativity. The challenge is that humanity has not yet built a spacecraft capable of reaching such extreme speeds. Today's rockets are far too slow. Even our fastest spacecraft travel at only a tiny fraction of the speed of light. But speed isn't the only way to slow time. Einstein discovered another surprising method: gravity. According to his theory, gravity bends the fabric of spacetime. The stronger the gravitational field, the slower time flows. To understand this, imagine stretching a large rubber sheet. Now place a heavy bowling ball in the center. The sheet bends downward under its weight. If you roll a smaller ball nearby, it naturally moves toward the heavier one. Einstein believed space and time behave in a similar way. Massive objects bend the fabric of spacetime. The greater the mass, the stronger the curvature. And the stronger the gravity, the slower time passes. Earth bends spacetime only slightly. The Sun bends it much more. A neutron star bends it even further. And a black hole creates the most extreme distortion known in the universe. If you could spend time near a black hole without being destroyed, your clock would tick much more slowly than someone far away. When you finally returned, many years, or even generations, might have passed on Earth. This exact scientific concept inspired the movie Interstellar. In the film, astronauts land on a planet orbiting close to a supermassive black hole. For them, 1 hour passes. But for people waiting elsewhere, several years pass. While the movie dramatizes the situation, the underlying science is based on real physics. However, surviving that close to a black hole remains purely theoretical. The immense gravity and radiation would create enormous challenges. Even so, black holes are no longer just mathematical ideas. In 2019, the Event Horizon Telescope captured the first ever image of a black hole. It became one of the most famous scientific photographs in history. The discovery confirmed that these extraordinary objects really exist. Scientists continue studying them to better understand gravity, space, and time. Their research may one day reveal secrets that could completely change our understanding of the universe. But for now, one thing is clear. According to modern science, traveling into the future is not impossible. The laws of physics already allow it. The only thing humanity lacks is the technology to make it practical. Can we travel to the past? So far, we've learned that traveling into the future is scientifically possible through time dilation. But what about traveling into the past? Can we really go back and change history? This is where science becomes far more mysterious. One fascinating clue comes from the way light travels through space. Although light moves at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second, it still takes time to reach us. When you look at the moon, you aren't seeing it as it is right now. You're seeing it about 1.3 seconds in the past. When you look at the sun, you're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. And when astronomers observe distant galaxies billions of light years away, they are literally looking billions of years into the past. In other words, telescopes already allow us to observe the past. But observing the past is very different from physically traveling there. That raises a fascinating question. Could we ever actually go back in time? In 2009, world-renowned physicist Stephen Hawking conducted a famous experiment. He organized a party for time travelers. There were balloons, food, and champagne. But there was one unusual twist. He didn't send the invitations until after the party had already ended. His idea was simple. If people from the future could travel into the past, they should have been able to attend. No one came. Although the experiment was humorous, it highlighted an important scientific question. If time travel to the past is possible, why don't we see visitors from the future? Einstein's theory of relativity doesn't completely rule out backward time travel. Instead, it introduces a fascinating possibility known as a wormhole. A wormhole is a hypothetical tunnel connecting two distant points in space and time. Imagine folding a sheet of paper in half. Instead of traveling across the entire sheet, you punch a hole straight through it. The shortcut represents a wormhole. If such tunnels exist and remain stable, they could theoretically connect different moments in time. Some physicists believe rapidly spinning black holes might create the extreme conditions needed for wormholes. Others suggest microscopic wormholes may constantly appear and disappear throughout the universe. However, there is a major problem. These tiny wormholes would be far too small for a human to pass through. Scientists believe enormous amounts of negative energy would be required to keep one open. Negative energy is a theoretical form of energy that has never been harnessed in the quantities needed. Without it, a wormhole would collapse almost instantly. For now, wormholes remain mathematical possibilities rather than proven technology. Even if scientists eventually discover a way to travel into the past, another challenge immediately appears. The paradoxes. The most famous is the grandfather paradox. Imagine traveling back in time and preventing your grandfather from ever having children. If your grandfather never had children, your parents would never be born. If your parents were never born, then you wouldn't exist. But if you never existed, who traveled back in time? This creates a logical contradiction. To solve this problem, scientists have proposed several theories. One of them is the multiverse theory. According to this idea, changing the past wouldn't erase your own timeline. Instead, your actions would create an entirely new universe. Your original timeline would continue to exist, while a second reality would branch away from it. Another explanation is called the predestination paradox. According to this theory, history cannot actually be changed. Everything you do while traveling into the past was always part of history. Your attempts to prevent an event might actually become the very reason that event happens. In this view, destiny always corrects itself. No matter what you do, history unfolds exactly as it always did. These ideas have inspired famous movies like 12 Monkeys, Predestination, and The Time Traveler's Wife. Although they make for fascinating stories, Scientists still have no experimental evidence proving backward time travel is possible. For now, traveling to the past remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern physics. Has anyone ever actually traveled through time? The answer is simple. There is no verified scientific evidence that any human has traveled through time. Remember the mysterious story of Andrew Carlssin from the beginning of this video? The man who supposedly turned $800 into $350 million in just 2 weeks. The man who claimed he came from the future. As incredible as the story sounds, it isn't true. Researchers later discovered that the entire story originated from a satirical newspaper called Weekly World News. It was written as fictional entertainment. However, the story spread across the internet. Several websites and media outlets repeated it without proper fact-checking. Eventually, millions of people believed it was real. This is one of the earliest examples of how fake news can spread worldwide. Even though Andrew Carlssin never existed as a real-time traveler, his story inspired millions to ask an important question. Could humanity one day build a real-time machine? According to modern physics, traveling into the future is scientifically possible. Time dilation has already been confirmed through experiments. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station age ever so slightly slower than people on Earth because of their speed and changing gravitational environment. The difference is tiny. But it proves that Einstein was right. Traveling into the past, however, is a completely different challenge. Scientists have proposed fascinating ideas involving wormholes, rotating black holes, and the fabric of spacetime. But none of these theories has been experimentally demonstrated. They remain mathematical possibilities rather than practical technology. That is why most physicists believe backward time travel is still far beyond our current capabilities. Perhaps future discoveries will completely transform our understanding of the universe. New breakthroughs in quantum physics or space-time may reveal possibilities we cannot even imagine today. History has repeatedly shown that ideas once considered impossible can later become scientific reality. A century ago, landing on the moon seemed impossible. Today, humanity is preparing missions to Mars. Maybe one day, time travel will follow the same path. But until then, it remains one of science's greatest mysteries. The truth is even more fascinating than fiction. Time behaves differently than we once believed. It can slow down. It can speed up. And under extreme conditions, it can bend in extraordinary ways. Whether humanity will ever build a true time machine remains unknown. But one thing is certain. Our journey to understand time has only just begun. So what do you think? Will humans eventually travel through time? Or will time machines always remain science fiction? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more documentaries about science, space, history, and the greatest mysteries of the universe.